next two races on the card will determine which 6 crews compete in the grand final for the men's heavyweight eights. And the first of those semi-finals, as you see the lineup there: Romania, Australia, Canada, the United States, Poland and Great Britain on the near side. All 6 crews having reshuffled their order, with 1 or 2 spare men being brought in from the Lucerne placings just a few weeks ago, just to sharpen things up. On that occasion, the fastest of these 6 was the Australians in lane 2. They took 4th position, but were hard pressed by Romania and Great Britain, who also contested the grand final. A good clean start for these 6 crews as they set off down the 2,000-metre course.
Very tough qualifying coming up here in these 2 men's 8 semi-finals. The USA have had a pretty interesting season, having won at Henley, beat the British 8, who put up a splendid performance in front of their home crowd, and then astonishingly didn't make the final at Lucerne. They'll be very, very keen to lay down a marker here and give themselves that little bit of confidence. US world champions last year. There's going to be very, very little between these crews as they go over the line. The 8, of course, the fastest moving of the boats at the World Championships, and as a result, there's usually very little to choose between them. You can turn the screw a little bit and increase the pace, but not for very long, because you're going virtually flat out from the word go. So, through the 1,000-metre mark, the US lead by nearly a length over the British in second, Canada third. Very little to choose between them and Poland over on the far side.
Well, and the American crew already stamped a substantial lead on this race. 7 out of those 8 men surviving from last year's World Championship crew. And as you say, John, surprising that they should fall back to the extent at Lucerne that they could not even make the grand final. They had to make do with 7th after winning the B final. And the fight very much on now for the 2nd and 3rd slots as America lead the way home. Britain currently holding on to 2nd position. Britain, only 5 of these men surviving from last year's 8th place crew, but the crew unchanged from Lucerne when they came 6th.
Talking to the boys in the British camp, this is really their final for this British 8. I mean, I know everyone talks about when you get to a final anything's possible, but the reality is that this level of competition in any sport, form counts for a great deal. So this really is the Britain's final event. If they can get through here, they'll have done superbly well. Very tough qualifying in this. Canadians very strong, Romanians very strong, and obviously the Americans terrifically strong. As they go through the 1,500-metre mark, the US still lead, with Great Britain and Romania in 2nd and 3rd. Canada are some 2nd or so, perhaps a little less behind that. This is where the race is really going to boil up. The British have got to really dig deep if they're going to make this final in a couple of days' time. No doubting the US leading this out in grand style, as befits the winners of the Grand at Henley. Romania hanging on to that 2nd position, 30 strokes to go now. Them and Britain neck and neck, and it looks, if they can hold this position, as those 2 crews will go through to qualify in 2nd and 3rd place for the grand final.
Disappointing performance so far from the Australians, 4th place at Lucerne. Only 1 substitution since that date, and I'd expected them to come on more strongly, but now being left with it all to do if they're going to come back for a qualifying slot. Absolutely,
it's commonly held that the Australians and the New Zealand crews come on a bundle when they come over to Europe as they get used to the training, get over the jet lag. But certainly, although they're coming back hard, it looks like it's Romania in that 2nd place, coming back at the US, with Britain hanging on grimly to that 3rd position. US qualify in 1st, Romania 2nd, Britain in 3rd, Canada 4th, Poland 5th, and astonishingly, Australia 6th. Just as you would expect in a field of that class, very tight, very, very high quality racing. The British crew did spectacularly well to qualify there. I suspect that the Australians will be asking a lot of questions of themselves later on, wondering what on earth went wrong. That was a real reversal of fortune for them. They've been one of the fancied crews. As Robert said, they're fourth in Lucerne.
And confirmation there then that America, Romania and Great Britain qualify, and it's Canada, Poland and the Australians who have to make do with contesting the B final.